every pony, and welcome to DAG. This is Dratta Arcana, and welcome to Dratta Talks. And tonight with me is special guest
ColoradoContraptions.
Welcome back to the podcast, Colorado. And tonight we're talking about meta predictions for the MLPCCG.
Especially considering there was a new wave of bans that just occurred.
Yes,
they won't be active until April 4th, but it will certainly change how a lot of things are done.
Just in time for Winnie City, by the way.
Yikes.
Yeah,
that's gonna be
yeah, it's literally like the day before Winnie City is when the ban comes into effect. So if you guys are going to be at Winnie City, I did a con announcement that I will be at Winnie City playing in the MLPCCG tournament for Harmony and Core. And I'm looking forward to seeing what players come up with the new ban list. Speaking of the ban lists, Applejack, Ambassador of Honesty, was banned in Harmony and is currently still banned in Core. Don't think you can get away with that. So
I don't know if I don't think she's banned in Odyssey Block, but
is not,
that format is less played, and
we'll
see if she proves to be just as powerful there or not.
Yeah, well, I think the only reason that they did Odyssey Block is because Odyssey Block will be at Winnie City. I'm just not playing in it.
But okay, well then that still makes it important to mention for those players who do plan on playing it at that con.
Yes, AJ is still legal in Odyssey Block. So the big reason why AJ was banned was because she was comboed very well with Staphis Acanis and Troublemakers. And it was becoming where it's like you would see AJ farm all the time. So whether it be
Harmony, it was like the deck list to run.
Yeah, it was like the deck list. The next card that was banned would be Exact Duplicate, My Little Cloney.
I'm kind of sad about this one because I love that title. It's just perfect.
Yeah.
It's so punny. It's so me.
I know. But there is a reason it was banned. There was a deck that literally used this in core format to basically what you would do is you dip and pool an AT generator, like cover to cover or
factory jack,
and then you would copy the token with Exact Duplicate, and you could do this infinitely, and then you would copy backup vocals or whatever, and eventually you're generating infinite AT, because eventually you get it to where, you know, when you play Exact Duplicate, you're making 3 copies of an AT generator, you're getting back all 3 of your AT, and it basically just goes infinite. So to protect the health of the game, they banned Exact Duplicate. So cloney combo's no longer a thing.
And I personally only played against it once and lost just because of a terrible mistake, but that was before Friends Forever was released, and I think that is ultimately what pushed it over the edge. Cards like EEA Council probably made it too difficult for the opponent to start interrupting.
That and Herd of Adoring Fans is very easily abusable with this deck. Because it's a 2 AT for a token copy of a 2-cost friend, so which is actually cheaper and easier to play than Dip in the Pool.
Right.
Because the Dip in the Pool's for color rack. So it gave Cloney Combo an extra ability to copy for less AT.
Yep.
Especially since you're pretty much already in yellow, so you just need to color fix into white. So for the same cost as Dip in the Pool's AT cost, you could copy with Herd. And the next card that was banned, and I know that a lot of people are sad about this one, but it's understandable.
Myself included.
Berry Punch and Orange Swirl Drinking Buddies became banned. And there's a reason for this. 2 AT to remove 2 friends is not fun.
It starts to get a little ridiculous, especially when combined with Portal.
BRB ran this card heavily because it could do so much with it.
Yeah. It just became too efficient.
Yeah. And it also was a design space issue. Every pink deck, no matter what it was, had to run 3 copies of Berry Punch and Orange Swirl and 3 copies of Belly Flop.
Right.
It's like every pink deck had that combination, and you couldn't get away from that. So banning it also opens up design space for the game.
Right. And Belly Flop is not so much of a problem as it was this card.
Exactly. And that was a debate, I think, that the rules board had was, is Berry Punch the problem or is Belly Flop? Well, Belly Flop wasn't as big of a problem because we have Dismissal. You know, you got Food Fight, you got Sonata Dusk and everything. So you still can do the combo. It's just Berry Punch was just too strong. So with the ban list, now we know what the ban list is. Let's talk about some actual thoughts. You know, what are we going to see with this new ban list?
Oh, there's a world of possibilities yet to explore. Personally, I've been seeing a lot of aggro, and as much as I enjoy a good aggro deck and have built several myself that I like playing, I really want to see control make a comeback. I want to see some strong control come back and kind of teach aggro a little lesson. Especially because I love playing control. It's really fun, all the shenanigans you can pull with the various cards you got, especially in purple. Purple's my favorite to play. But
Honestly,
seeing as lacking lesson plans as exists and some other things, it's a little harder to be a purple player now. Because aggro can often just circumvent everything you're trying to do. So it's going to be interesting.
Blue-purple farm.
That's true. That is a little different, though. It's not great control.
I mean, it worked for me for Indianapolis' store championship for core coming in first.
That's true, yeah.
And that's,
maybe I just personally haven't found the right list yet. I don't know. I haven't had a lot of time to explore as much as I wanted to yet.
I wish Unicorn Control wasn't so slow.
Yeah, I wonder if there is a way to speed it up, but I don't know what that would be yet.
Yeah, and that's something that a lot of players are going to have to think about. On the flip side, you know, we have a lot of aggro decks. We've seen a lot of blue. We've seen a lot of mono yellow. And
absolutely.
But there's an aggro deck that I think a lot of people are... And I think there's a reason that we haven't seen it. And it's simply because not everyone can build it. And that's the 4-color Alicorn aggro.
Right.
And the reason why we haven't seen this is Endless Friendship and Midnight Lunas are kind of hard to come by.
They are kind of expensive and difficult to find because everybody wants them and everybody is willing to pay for them.
Yes. And when you combine them in a deck with Flash Sentry, you know...
And some AT Gen and
AT Gen. A free cover to cover, or a free cover to cover into a day shift is really nice.
Oh, yeah.
Because
and then right after that, you could just do some Endless Friendship or...
Put Endless Friendship in play. I've loved it when Scootaloo players would look at me and they'd look at my Midnight Luna. They'd look at me and look at the Midnight Luna. And then they'd scan over to the Twilight and they're like, I fold.
Oh. Ouch.
It's really funny because they're just like, well, I want to spend my AT to aggro, but then I can't move via Scootaloo anymore.
Right, and at the same time, they see your Twilight, you're like, you mean I can't actually remove them? I'd need to spend 2 removal? I don't have that in my hand. It's somewhere in my deck, but I don't want to spend the AT to dig for it.
All my Socipital attacks. What do I do with these?
Right.
My Rainbow Dash Pony Pirate. What do you mean I can't frighten something when I move it? So the Alicorn aggro is just one deck of many. But do you think that a 3-color deck in the new meta is going to be more viable than 2? I mean, that's something that I've talked a little bit about on my own personal feelings, but what do you think, Colorado? Do you think we're going to start seeing different color combinations where they're more than we used to see?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with the new Alicorns, they're definitely very powerful, and people will be motivated to build with them. And seeing that we now have Fire of Friendship to make them really easy to get into play with those 2 rec reductions, I expect to see some decks. I don't know how well they'll do yet, but I know me, myself, I'm constantly tinkering with trying to include these Alicorns because I'm like, there's something here. I know it. I just haven't found it yet.
Well, and for core, you know, trying to find the right color combination can be a challenge. But let's talk about Paradox Pony.
That is one of my new favorite mains.
Paradox Pony is so ridiculous. Out here in the Midwest, where I'm at, my locals, everyone saw that deck at the store championships when I was running it. Not a single person liked that deck.
What? Wow. Okay. Were they just not expecting it, or?
No, they thought Paradox cheating a Twilight Endless Friendship in play for 3 AT and then the spend 2 to make it leave play and come back in, they thought was cheating.
But that's the whole point of the main. That's what she does.
I know.
She creates a paradox with herself.
Exactly. She goes forward in time to look at Twilight Sparkle as a princess and then realizes that she can't be there because that would cause a paradox, but realizing that she got stuck in the princess form while coexisting as a spirit. We can go into this later. But
yeah, this could get real meta theoretical real fast.
But what do you think, you know, speaking of mains, like what do you think is going to be some of the top Harmony mains now with AJ gone?
I definitely think Paradox Pony stands a chance. There are a lot of weaknesses, like Desert Road really hurts poor Paradox Pony. But at the same time, as new sets are printed, she's definitely going to have to be a consideration for Enter Play friends.
Definitely. Her with Evil Twin actually bypasses Desert Road.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so Evil Twin says, as this card enters play, banish a friend.
Ah.
But Desert Road will negate the second ability, but not the first. So you still get the banish, it's just Evil Twin will be a 0 power card.
Right. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, because it's as enters play. Whenever you see an as, it's going to bypass things like Desert Road.
Right. And I actually forgot about that.
Yeah, I know. It's a really confusing ruling. But we're going to see more stuff like this, probably as the meta goes on. We'll be seeing a lot of blue and yellow aggro from here until the end of time, because that's what a lot of aggro players are familiar with.
But and what they like to play.
Exactly. But what about purple-yellow aggro? What about...
That's definitely a possibility. I could see that working.
Purple-orange aggro.
Yep.
Dragon mid-range, other known. And that's something to see, too. We haven't seen dragons do all that well yet, which is unfortunate.
I've been tinkering with them, and I'm convinced I can find a deck that make them do better, but I don't know what it is yet. So,
yeah, I have a deck list of Dragon Control, and it's not really 100% Dragon. It runs Tempest main, and what it does...
Mine does too, actually, the one that I'm tinkering with.
And Tempest we're going to see in core until, like, the end of days. But
yeah,
you're not going to see Tempest grabbing Grubber as much as she used to.
because of Fire of Friendship.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And plus Pony of Shadows. It's really nice to spend 2 to put a Pony of Shadows in play that's 7 power on your trading traditions and say, are you ever going to defeat that troublemaker?
Yeah. Especially because then once they do, you're like, oh, any friend that enters play is okay by me.
Exactly. And actually, I find that that's a really good play. And we're going to start seeing a lot of things. And I was talking about this when I did my own personal views on the meta and where I kind of saw it going before the ban list. I think with this ban, with Berry Punch gone, you know, all your most effective friends are staying around. You know, the biggest threat to Twilight.
A lot more frequently, yeah.
Yeah. The biggest weakness to Endless Friendship was Berry Punch and Orange Swirl.
Plus Berry Flop, or plus Belly Flop, yeah.
Yeah. That was the biggest weakness. Even though Sonata Dust still exists, it's only there. So your opponent,
right.
So all you have to do is keep your Twilight at home and she'll never leave play.
Yeah.
Or get your opponent to use up all your AT, which doesn't happen much.
Or have your opponent running white changelings, but that's different.
and I think changelings have a better chance now with the new ban list.
True. Uh-oh, something's going on back there.
Yeah, I think that was the ambulance going by.
Oops.
Well, you know, I wonder who it's for.
They're on to you, Dratta.
No! Besides that interruption, I see purple, orange, white being a very good control color.
True. I definitely love playing with those particular color mixes. The only challenge I have there is some removal that works well around Desert Road, but that can be color splashed. But then at the same time, you're also running out of a lot of deck space, so it's something to tinker with and fine tune.
I actually don't use Desert Road.
It definitely would work.
I don't use Desert Road in that build.
I wasn't talking about playing Desert Road. I was talking about against Desert Road.
Oh, okay. Well, actually, for that deck, Desert Road is fine for that deck because my deck.
That's true because purple has a whole bunch of resource removal. I forgot about that.
Yeah, exactly. It's got
Silly
Hyper Beam, which is just a really good.
I love Hyper Beam.
Hyper Beam
is like
good.
the new special beam cannon.
Except better because now I've twice in the history of Hyper Beam's existence, I've hit 2 Desert Roads.
Oh, that's awesome.
So what I did was that I grubbered them, looked at their hand, saw the 2 Desert Roads. They played one, didn't have enough AT to play the other one, and I just Hyper Beamed it.
Yeah.
But people have to worry about Hyper Beam because you don't want duplicates in your hand anymore of resources because they're all just going to get hit because Hyper Beam hits all 3 if all 3 resources are 1s in play and 2 in your hand.
Right.
So in another card, I think this card is going to define the meta, Mistmane.
Mistmane is going to be seen a lot, yeah. I love Mistmane's abilities.
Well,
I try to fit her in a lot of decks.
She's infinite
Still haven't
recursion.
tested much, but yes.
She's infinite recursion and
points and
she's I honestly think she's too much of a plus for the people using her.
In some respects, yes, I can see that.
Yeah.
She's probably going to be kept an eye on closely to make sure she doesn't become too good with any other cards in the future.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't help that she's unique. That actually, I think, is the worst part about her.
True.
And
that
when
makes
I say
it real easy to use repeatedly.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. She's really, really, really repetitive in that Mistmane's unique. So you just need 2 copies and you can cycle her infinitely.
Well, that and AT, but yes.
Yeah, that and AT. And I think that we're going to start seeing more of the tricorns, especially Twilight and Luna. We're going to see them a lot. But there's a lot of stuff in the last meta that have gone out the window. BRB, for example.
That's true. Either people are tired of it, or it's just not as strong as it used to be.
I think
it's a mix of both.
Yeah, I agree. I think it really is a mix of both. And Chaos Control, where is it?
Honestly, I kind of expect it to make a return.
But
that's just because I really like the deck, and I will be playing it at least once.
Well, it got a really good chaos effect in one of the changelings where it could return its own resources.
That's true.
So if your staff ever gets dismissed, you can bring it back. No problem. So where's Chaos Control? Another deck that we're not seeing a lot of that we saw last time. Trying to remember. What all did we see? Blue-yellow is seen, at least.
True.
So we're seeing a lot of blue-yellow.
What was that other deck? I'm trying to...
Pink-orange Control. That we saw a lot of at Continentals. I think it's going to fall by the wayside. I think it'll still exist. Just, it's not as strong as it once was.
They might have to color fix into a third color to make it stronger, actually.
Yeah, and that's going to be debatable what it is. Another thing that we might start seeing is people splashing for cards, you know? Like, Miss Main doesn't even have to be in the color combination because she's only 2-color rec. So...
yeah, fire a friendship her.
Exactly. Plus, you don't even need to play her for her to be effective. She just has to continually enter the discard.
Yeah.
Because you could just mill your opponent out that way, which I don't know why you would do that, but...
oh, milling's fun.
It is. It is. But with her, is mill an effective strategy? I don't find that it is, but it can be.
I kind of expect that to be tinkered with a bit. I don't know if it'll be meta-defining, but I know I myself have tried to tinker with it a little bit. We'll see how it does.
Right. I think what we're going to start seeing in the meta is more color combinations. The game used to be, the science behind deck building used to be dual color, right? And I feel like that's going to go by the wayside.
A bit, yeah. Although I can't say that I joined the game at a time when that was the case. I joined just after Marks in Time was released, so there was a lot of tricolor going on. Oh,
okay. Well, and I know that a lot of players used to do dual color a lot, or even just monocolor. You saw monocolor all the time. It used to be. And generally, that's the deck building strategy. You build 2-color decks. BRB was 2 colors. Pink-orange was 2 colors.
Yeah.
You know, even the farming deck that placed third last Continentals was 2 colors, I think.
Yeah.
You know, we're seeing a lot of 3-color to 4 colors now. And they're doing well. You know,
if not more.
If not more, yeah.
But then that's debatable as to whether two ofs count as another color or anyway.
Yeah, well, there is that. It's like my farming deck runs 3 Catajacks. But that's the only orange card in the deck.
Right.
You know. Honestly, I expect decks to be very friend heavy in this meta.
Which is good, because that's kind of the point of the game.
Yeah. But I think what a lot of people aren't going to expect is things like, if a deck comes out that's really good and completely friendless, or has just slightly enough friends to be an annoyance, like they're only running 1 friend or 2 friends, and then they come in with all these board wipes, I think a lot of people are going to be sad.
That is a risk to be thinking about. So... yeah, you might want to expect some answers to that, if possible.
Yeah. And honestly,
which can be difficult.
And honestly, a deck like that is almost nearly impossible to prepare for anyways. You don't expect something like that to come out of the woodwork. I'm looking for a control deck, and I've been experimenting, trying to find the perfect control deck. I can't find it.
Same.
And that's actually, I think, a good thing. Don't you, Colorado? Right. It's like the game Friends Forever did a lot to it's done a lot to help make a lot of decks viable,
which is important. That way not one deck or two decks is just dominating everything, like we saw back in Sequestria and Beyond with the control decks.
Well, I think in the very beginning of Sequestria and Beyond, AJ Farm was the only deck you ever played.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
It was like,
but that's AJ. That's different. She's gone now.
She's gone, which is good because she was very dominant. One of the few decks that I think in the last set of metas that could actually handle AJ Farm was Paradox Pony.
Yeah,
because
to an
it
extent.
ran because it ran Ursa. I learned something in a game recently. Pegasus Chariot really hurts AJ Farm.
That's true.
1AT, move AJ.
That is a card that I expect to see more experimentation with, because it's just very useful.
Oh, yes. I recently played against someone with that, and they were like, if that gets abused, that's really, really unfair. So I expect weird things like that to finally come out of the woodworks. Just be ready for a lot of guidance counselors. I see.
I'm still sad that she doesn't have the meme face, but that's okay.
It's okay. Maybe a promo one day.
Well, they actually already revealed the promo, and it's still not the meme face, but it's her looking a lot more adorable, so that I guess that makes up for it.
Okay, good. That works. But I do expect to see a lot of changes in the way people build for this meta, and I don't think we're gonna have one deck that, like, after AJ was gone, BRB was just rampant.
Mm-hmm.
It was running all over the place. Well, BRB, I think, is going to go by the wayside.
Yeah, except for some extreme builds, maybe. But
right. I think a lot of people in the beginning were like, ban old money, ban old money. I'm like, old money's not that broken. I mean, what do you think?
There's some cases where I could see it becoming a problem, but it would have to be because she's so easily stopped with Desert Road and a few other immediate removals that I don't know.
Yeah, and that's why I think it was an annoyance to everyone I played that had no answers to old money.
Right.
And when you don't have an answer to a card can be very annoying, and old money can be devastating. But I don't think it's that strong of a card
yet.
Right. There's a couple combinations that people think are really unfair. Like Unicorn Control has a combination that everyone thinks unfair, but it needs 4 cards in order for that combination to work.
And some color fixing.
Yes, and some color fixing. So I think that, you know, what we were seeing earlier on were really, really strong decks, but they're not actually as powerful as all that. I think decks that are running multiple colors beyond 2 are going to fare better in this meta.
Except for maybe Nurturing Nature.
Nurturing Nature needs to stay mono yellow. I hate that deck. That's a little
it drives
strong.
Me crazy too.
I do not like that deck. That
deck is a purple player's nightmare.
That deck is what you get when you're just lazy. The deck is so easy to build. It's like 80% commons. It's only got like the Trihorn Bunyas, which aren't even important in the deck. You don't even need them. You just need a bunch of like 1-cost stuff. Basically, all you need is Nurturing Nature and Yona. Oh, look, I have my field. It's I don't like it because it's such a simple aggro deck, and it's so effective as a simple aggro deck. I like the yellows making a comeback, but it's just, I feel like that mono yellow Nurturing Nature is just what you get when you're being lazy and building aggro.
To an extent, I agree with that, and I'm, as a purple player, I'm really annoyed by it, but at the same time, we do want it to be easy for people to get into the game and into the competitive scene, so there can be an argument made for that.
Yeah, and I see it as a good, like, entry, an entry deck. For someone wanting to get into the competitive scene, it's a good starting place. But as a competitive player, it's like, are you just going to go with, like, the easiest deck to build? You know, it really, that's how it's become. And I understand why it's seen so much play in the last set of store championships, because the set literally was only out for like a month and a half before store championships were announced, meaning all the stronger URs haven't made their way around yet.
Yeah.
You know, people are still looking
or has experimented with them. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think that the meta needs to be explored more. And that's something to think about coming up the con season here. You got Winnie City, you got BabsCon coming up, BronyCon, a lot of cons with a lot of tournaments, and we're still an undefined meta.
Which is exciting.
But we'll see what decks actually do well here in the next few tournaments. All I have to say is Farm is not dead yet. It still exists.
I'm not dead yet.
Not dead. Actually, the newest Farm deck upped the number of URs by 6.
Trying to think of which one you're referring to.
It's the only one that was used in the new meta at Store Championships, my Farm deck.
Oh, okay.
Ambassador of Loyalty Farm used to be, the number of URs was actually 6 less than the current meta.
And she just used to not be as good as AJ, but now that AJ's gone.
Yeah. I'll have to say, that deck's a lot of fun, and if people are looking for that list, they should go to the Indianapolis Core Tournament results and actually look at that, because that deck was literally thrown together last minute. Like a week before the tournament, I built that thing. I sent it on to C Pancake, and I was like, can you take a look at this? Because he was the one that ran the AOL.
The initial list, yeah.
The initial list. We made a couple adjustments, but that deck, it's mean. It doesn't care about lacking lesson plans either. It's great. Someone had lacking lesson plans, and I put a troublemaker there. After I defeated the troublemaker at my problem, I exhausted my main to move it over there, and I'm like, yeah, when that troublemaker turns up, yeah, I'm gonna fight it. So, stopping you from confronting is not the important part.
Right. Especially because she's in blue, you can also switch to more of an aggro tactic at just an instant.
Well, I found, so the way I had the problem deck arranged, there was not a single problem in that problem deck that I'd ever confront.
Ah, okay. So you focused heavily on control instead of switching. Okay.
Yeah, so my problem deck was set up to 4 problems, additional flip. 2 problems, score a point if my opponent doesn't confront.
That's fun.
Yeah, so literally The starting problem was Second Chance. I'm going to change it over to probably Royal Breakfast because, you know, draw a card. And harder to confront. So, but that's what we're seeing is a lot of decks. I think the only one to carry over from Continentals is Rainbow Dash Farm.
True.
I mean, BRB, I think there was like one BRB deck, but it was purple, yellow, pink.
That's eccentric.
Yeah. Yeah, and old money was in it, guaranteed. So, any final thoughts, Colorado, on the new meta? What do you think? What are your predictions?
I'm just excited and honestly a little overwhelmed as well because there's so many new decks, so many new possibilities, so many things to try and find that just fit your niche play style that you like. And sometimes people don't have a niche play style, which is fun too. Like, personally, I love to experiment with all types of decks. I want to have an aggro deck, a control deck, a farm deck, ready to go that I can be like, I feel like playing this today. So with a meta like this, it's a little overwhelming because you're like, ooh, I could do this color combination for this kind of deck, or this color combination. Oh, but then I could splash in this color. Oh, but then it would be stronger if I added this. Oh, but what if I did this? It's just going to be fun.
Yeah, and I'm the same way because I play, you know, almost every deck style, you know, and because I'm not centered around one deck style. Now, a lot of my decks have a lot of similarities when I build aggro, control. You know, when I built aggro, Daybreaker, because, you know, scoring extra points is great. But when I build things like control, you know, usually it's got cover to covers and guidance counselors and stuff because AT gen, you know, there's a lot of similarities in a lot of my control, aggro, and farming decks. But at the same time, you know, they're not all the same. And that's what we're seeing in the meta right now. There's so many directions we can take this.
Yeah. And that's a good thing because it keeps the game fresh. It keeps it being stale. It keeps it interesting to both new players and old players alike. And that's good.
Yeah. I do feel like, though, some of the bans were a little hasty. Honestly.
I can see that.
Yeah. I think some of them were a little hasty. Like, last
Like
meta,
Hasty Rutherford? I mean...
last meta, we didn't see the AJ ban until nearly BronyCon.
Yeah, I think they waited a little too long.
They did. And Main 6 Party Planners, too, they waited a long time on. But I think overall that was the right call.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I'd like to see, you know, what the new meta is going to be with the ban. I felt like the exact duplicate was kind of out of place, but I can understand why they banned what they did. So.
Right. And it's possible that there's another set coming out that those bans were introduced for that set specifically. Like maybe there were some new cards that they're developing that we don't know anything about that synergized well, and that might be why they did it a little earlier than anyone expected.
Well, I don't think they're even... I don't know, but I really
neither
don't...
do I. I'm just saying that's something to consider.
I think the bans happened because of the new system in place for the ban lists. Honestly, I feel like that they were banning those because they were very, very prominent in a lot of decks. Cloney Combo was the only deck that benefited from Exact Duplicate, though. So I find it weird that they banned that. But anyways, we can speculate on the ban list all we want.
Yeah.
But I think that the meta is going to be very healthy this time around. Try to anticipate as much as you can, but don't expect to beat every deck in this meta, because you're not going to.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's not like last time where we had AJ Farm and you won every game with that deck. So.
Right.
So anyways, guys, that's going to be it for tonight. Thank you for joining Dratta Talks. As always, this is Dratta Arcana. And if you're looking for any of my content, you can contact me via Dratta. If you're looking for any of my content, feel free to check out my YouTube page and my Twitch channel. As always, you can contact me via dratta.arcana@gmail.com or Dratta Arcana Gaming on Facebook. And with me tonight is
ColoradoContraptions, and you can contact me in very similar manners. You could contact me in YouTube comments on my discussion page on my channel at ColoradoContraptions, or through email with ColoradoContraptions@gmail.com.
Yep, and definitely check out Colorado Contraptions channel. He does various CCG and other various things on YouTube. So, and we'll see you guys.
Lots of variety.
Lots of variety. So we'll see you guys. No but Dratta comments. Have a good night.
Bye.